Welcome to the Maia Ātaahua podcast, hosted by me, Zoe. We're going to look at concepts like the perfect victim and the narrow definitions that withhold help, support, and sometimes justice. Well, most oftenly justice. And along the way, we're going to connect with people from around the globe. It's going to be a good time. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and please enjoy the show. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first inaugural episode of the Maia Ātaahua podcast, officially with Maia Ātaahua. And everyone knows me. I'm Zoe. We've all seen my face all over the place. I've lit my candle. I've set my intentions for the day. But I'd really love to introduce you to my good friend, Maia. Along with the journey. Yes, hello.
Yes. Kia ora koutou, ko Kia Maia tōku ingoa. My name is Kia Maia, also known as Maia, and I have been lucky enough to collide with Zoe the last couple of months, and through a series of phone calls and long conversations and videos and back and forths, we have learnt that we are extremely aligned in our intentions and our end goals of creating safe spaces and community supports and recovery for people experiencing the things that we talk about. And Zoe has invited me to be a part of Maia Ātaahua, which is an awesome opportunity, and I'm extremely, extremely grateful. And so far, my role is to provide a sort of professional academic opinion on these things. I'm currently completing my Masters in Criminal Justice with a long-term goal of creating my own programs for at-risk youths and doing things like applying for funding to get help in the places that we need it. My professional background is in social welfare, so I spent a long time working in domestic violence and in emergency housing and those kind of areas, as well as my own personal background in poverty, being an at-risk youth, being a victim, being a woman, all of those things. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to see what we can do with Maia Ātaahua and the things that we're going to come up with over the next couple months, starting with this awesome podcast. So, yeah.
Thank you. That was so good. I'm so honored to have you here. It's a real privilege.
Thank you.
When I started this journey, I didn't think that I would be connecting with someone like yourself and having your authoritative voice in the background, to lean on or help redirect or better phrase one of my concepts has been an amazing upskill for me.
Yeah, it's a whole world, isn't it? Because during my time in government institutions, you kind of learn that there's a whole lot of invisible rules that the rest of the community doesn't understand. And when you're doing academic research, you also realize that there's sort of a level of proving that you have to do in order to get the support that we're trying to seek. And those are the same reasons that I did a master's, because I asked myself the question, how qualified do I have to be to make some change? And that was the answer. So that's why I'm here.
I'm so grateful. I graduated, I think, 2007, and then went back to do social work in 2011, but dropped out.
It's very hard.
And I should have just gone straight to my master's, but I went back and did another bachelor. It was silly. And then I went and I got into my master's, but I never went. I pulled out. So I'm past the point of being able to go back and restudy. So here I am doing this, and it's a bit weird, right? Because everyone's like, well, what are you doing that? Why don't you just go work for Oranga Tamariki? I'm like, yuck, no, I don't want to be part of the system. I want to build my own system. Are you kidding?
Yeah. And I think everyone kind of, it doesn't matter what pathway you take, you always question it. Yeah. I feel the same way. I'm like, would I have been better to be working in the community and actually doing these projects rather than, being an academic in the ivory tower? So, there's always both ways. And then luckily for us, we've collided and we get to combine both those skills and those experiences in the place. And I think that's the important thing about community and connection, is that no one person can fill all those roles and no one person can fill all those spaces. And so we must make community, we must make that kind of stuff in order to make sure that all of those things are met. And that's what we're doing.
Exactly. And I think so I went to some training recently and connected with a few people in the industry. And I was so grateful to be there. I was like, thank you for validating my experience and my choice here, because I feel the imposter syndrome every day. Like, what am I doing? Like, who's going to invest in me and who's going to do this? But the case managers, social workers I was sitting with, they said to me, the most important voice in the room is you, me. I was like, no, whatever. They're like, no, you, because you lived it. And I was like, oh, actually that does. I am in the right space, because I know what it's like when things fail, and we do more fail than good, even though we're trying. So,
and I think I'm a really big advocate for that, because I think that people don't understand that the world isn't, those people that you see that haven't made it because they're the most qualified or because they're the most talented or anything like that. They've made it because they tried and they actually put themselves out there. Okay.
I'm sorry, why that is staying
in. Yes, we have a busy full life, like that. This spot actually has the best lighting, so I had to be here.
But also, I think that there highlights the key point of everything that I'm doing, the branding, about being pink and vivacious, because we as survivors, we have the right to joy.
Yes.
And it's like, why can't we talk about difficult things and still have a laugh? Because you deserve
it. There's no measure, there's no scientific measure for joy.
No.
And that's why they find it so hard to fix these kind of issues in an academic sense, because you can't measure joy and emotions like that in people, which is why the two worlds need to meet,
Yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah, exactly. Like, a lot of stuff I've been doing, I've had people go, I don't get it. Why are you laughing? I'm like, because I'm allowed to, okay? And the reason why I don't want to work purely in an academic or professional space, and I want to work for myself, because I don't want anyone to tell me I can't laugh or swear while, let's bring out that morbid humor, because it's funny, right? I don't, I don't have
that. Those institutional bounds are so harmful for human beings, which is why I had to leave working in the institutions, because they are quite expecting humans not to be human, and expecting them not to express emotion or wear certain colors, or actually what I used to say is stop expecting people in abnormal situations to behave normally, because the institution and society kind of has the standard of what they perceive as normal, and what we're seeing is that everyone trying to fit into that box and be normal for the sake of the standard that society has set is so harmful for everyone. There's no rules on how to heal or how to be damaged or even how to be human. But there are these perceived rules by society, and fitting inside of that is actually causing the most harm.
Exactly. And I think one thing that we both totally understand is the concept of a perfect victim, or narrow definitions that don't do us any good, because when you put someone in a box, what you do is you withdraw access, or you withhold access to things that they might need. So you have to be a certain level of perfection to have access to justice. And I saw this morning, I forget the name of the guy, but an NRL player in Australia speaking up around when the heightened domestic violence that happens around sports events. He was on Channel 10 in Australia, but in the comment section, he was being ripped apart because when he was younger, he didn't treat his partners very well. Maybe he was violent, he was toxic, coercive, all the things. But I thought to myself, but we want to see people who have come from that space and are now working to change it. We're not going to take away his message because he's imperfect. That actually makes him great for what he's doing.
That's right. And I think actually, as you were talking about that, I think the other side of that conversation, which sometimes isn't had, is that there's a perception of what the ideal offender is as well. And so in the institutions, and specifically for police, and that's why we see, the name suppression, or certain people in higher roles getting away with certain things, because both the victim and the offenders are kind of put into these boxes, and if they don't meet all those things, oh, maybe it wasn't that bad, or maybe they aren't as bad as other offenders who fit the this stereotypes that we're believing about offenders. And it's a very similar thing, and so that's why, you know, this space is so important, to break all those barriers. Actually, there are all different types of harm at all different types of levels, and that healing looks very different in all those different spaces. And people need to stop thinking that it's out there. You know, when we look at the statistics for sexual violence against women, it's 1 in 3 women. You can't sit in a room at any workplace and not think that at least 3 or 4 women in that room have experienced some sort of harm like this, which means that it's affecting everyone, you know?
Exactly. And that's the reported numbers, guys. That's not we don't know what the unreported is, because it's not reported, or right. It doesn't fall into our current definitions of sexual violence. So we might, over time we've adjusted what that means, because we understand more about the area of sexual assault, but we've still got a lot of work to do. And 1 in 3 reporting, what's the latest? It went from like 8% to 24%, back to 16% in a census recently, against the how many Kiwis reported abuse or something recently. So what impacted, I think that was during COVID, it went up to 24%, and then it's dropped down again. But is that because we've broadened our understanding of what's acceptable? Yeah.
And those kind of things are really difficult. I mean, research is quite frustrating in the sense that it can completely be manipulated, or when they do research, they will stipulate what they've included, what they haven't included, why they have included that, why they haven't included that, what times and dates and areas and all that kind of thing is all chopped and changed. So when you're doing research, it's really important to go into those things. So the stuff with the COVID thing, one of the reasons I know is that because people were more accessible, because obviously they were at home and everyone was they were doing a whole lot of stuff. Everyone was a bit more able to be monitored when they were in lockdown. So that maybe talks about the increase there. There was a lot more monitoring on domestic violence, obviously, because victims were stuck at home. Yeah. And so there was more intensive supports provided by police, which may have
increased that.
Contributed to that time. And also the thing of people being stuck in the environment in which they were experiencing abuse can lead to sort of events, you know, like explosions of the abuse or something like that, or quite intense times because the people are stuck together. So there's all little things like that can cause it. But you wouldn't say that. I mean, you know, maybe it was increasing because the people were more at home, things like that. But the reporting side of it is probably due to the increased monitoring.
Yeah, but that's really important to understand, because we didn't touch on that about why it increased, just that it had. So there's always correlation or there's facts, but you have to go through and look at the analysis of that number and find out what caused it, what's the quality analysis.
And even like you say, like there are certain, you know, definitions. I think in New Zealand, the whole like what constitutes as sexual abuse rather than what constitutes as rape and what constitutes as harassment and all these kinds of things. There's a lot of really interesting definitions and quite outdated definitions around that. So that can also, and it's quite confusing for victims, obviously, because they're just talking about experience, and they're just talking about what happened to them. They're not talking about whether that classifies as this offence or that offence, or does it constitute these things. You know, like it's not where their minds are, and that's the disconnect between the human experience and the institutional experience. You know.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that you have to have definitions so that you can charge, because you need to charge. But someone might decide that they might not agree that what happened to them is that's serious. But if they did and they wanted to take action, by having a definition to lean on, they can. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't know if that was very good on the fly chat, but, you know, that's kind of, just because this happened to me doesn't mean I feel like I don't have to report it. It doesn't it's not bad enough. Like, you know,
well, I mean, yeah. Then we're getting into the disempowering
yeah, that's
system that we live in the sense that you as a victim don't have any control over the legal system. So in New Zealand, the legal system functions as a third party and presses against one party on behalf of another party, but that will happen regardless of whether the first party wants it to happen or not. So if police come and there's an assault that's happened, they will press charges. The police press charges against the individual based on the assault. But if the victim of that assault decides that they don't want to press charges, the police can actually still push charges on them.
But I guess what I'm thinking of is, like, in your day-to-day, someone might do something inappropriate, like take a photo of you up your skirt or something, or put their hand somewhere where they shouldn't, but you don't feel that you should report it. It's not serious enough. Actually, it is. Actually, it's pushing a boundary. It's crossing a line. You didn't ask for it. If you didn't ask for it, it's abuse. It's assault. So I think where I'm going with this is that one of the things we want to achieve in Maia Ātaahua is prevent, assist, and recover. And prevention is community education. It's talking to the everyday person about why they can report this, or what they're experiencing is assault, or hey, don't do that. That's assault. That will quantify as assault. Don't do that. Let's prevent you from doing it in the first place. That's obviously a much needed conversation that a lot of groups are already engaged in. But what we want to do, the team, is provide resources and tools for the everyday person, not just the community workers.
Yeah, and it's tough because you've got some really good community based programs, I think, that are doing this sort of education in schools. I don't know if you saw recently, but Respect Ed was one of them, but they have lost funding from the government because the current government doesn't support these kinds of conversations. But there's another one in the sort of music community that focus on consent and talking about the importance of consent, and they have a sort of saying that says, if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. And that's kind of implying that even if someone doesn't say no but is not comfortable with what's happening, that is still not consent, you know. And so they're really encouraging that you should be aware of these people and making sure that they are wanting to do this, they're excited about doing this, they're interested in it, and that conversation is going further than just, you know, sex and touching and things like that, but it's going into drug use, it's going into alcohol use, it's going into getting into cars, it's going to go into parties, wearing certain things, dressing certain things, you know, like that's, fortunately, the next generation is very much there in that conversation and understanding that, and we're kind of just waiting for the rest of the world to catch up.
And I just going to say, I feel like, yes, our younger generation is going to be so empowered. I think the tricky part is between now and then we have people of my generation and your generation who are still working off old mindsets, or we're still needing access to resources and knowing that what we're feeling is real, right? And so the assist part of Maia Ātaahua is our first official project, which is Project Hydra.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. We're actually at live testing. I'm putting together that pitch for live testing. I'm really excited. And I've got some people that want to partner in on that. So like names, tick, it'll be legitimate, supported by the social workers. In that app is real-time analysis. So you can write down what's happening. Maybe you're questioning what's happened. You can write it down and get that's wrong. Here's a local service that you can go to. And I think that's something that I needed back then and still now. And that kind of helps a little bit with prevent and assist.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about the Project Hydra, because probably from the start, if you want to explain really what the idea behind it and all that kind of stuff is, because that recognizing abuse is one part of it, but backtracking a little bit, documenting that abuse and having it in a safe place, which is, my understanding, the intentions of Project Hydra. And so, so one of the next part of that is that of the reported cases that do get reported to police, when they do get reported, only 12% of them are ending in conviction.
Yes.
And that is really hard, because as you were talking just then, I was like, yes, and I'm reminded of my intention is always to fix the system that is not providing these victims the support, because even when they come to the system, it's not really a good experience for them. They're not really getting justice or a sense of justice in their eyes, and it's not actually opening up opportunities for healing. And one part of that is, one of the biggest contributors to that is that victim statements often don't hold up in court, because their ability to recall trauma or abuse when they're in a survival mindset or living in the trauma is not that strong. And so what will often happen is people will experience abuse over a long period of time, multiple times, and then either they will leave and press charges later, or, which is more common, a significant event will happen that is quite dangerous, or their life was at risk. The police will get involved, and then through that, the police will try and assist the victim in pressing charges. And thankfully, very recently in New Zealand, they brought in a new law in which charges of domestic violence could be backtracked over time. So there's the initial charge for the time that the police show up at the house for the initial event, and then they can press a second charge of domestic violence for ongoing long-term abuse that's happened over a period of time. And the process of that is that the victim has to recall, and provide photos or evidence or text messages, or, this is what happened this day, and this is what happened this day, and this is what happened this day. And what that does is build a picture of violence and abuse over a time, which can strengthen the sentence that person receives. This is actually a really, really great change in the law, and quite new. I think it's only happened in the last 3 or 4 years. And when we discuss Project Hydra, I believe that fills that gap.
Yes. Well, my thinking with Project Hydra is, like, when you're in distress, you're not going to get out. I mean, people do record, but you're not thinking necessarily about writing it down as it's going, but afterwards you need to write it down. And sometimes if it just added in voice notes, so you can go in your car, you're driving to work, and voice note what happened, right? So it doesn't have to be written, it could be voice noted. And you're then recording the date and time and your very fresh memory of what's happened. And that we can't actually use the data for research because it's unethical. But if we had over a year, a few people use it, successfully get through, and they wanted to, after the fact, talk about their experience with the app, I think that we might start to see some really good statistics around recording and being able to get those locked in dates, because you can't change your entry after it's been saved. Yeah, you can add a note or you can add more in, but you can't change it. So your entry is watertight.
Yeah. Are you allowed to speak about Project Hydra on this?
Yeah, there'll be some things I can't say because I don't want to give it away for the victim, the people who are using it. But I can navigate the question. So hit me up, ask me a question.
Well, I'm just trying to think if we can paint a picture, for the people who are trying to about where we're going with this, because you want to say that this is a tool for people who are experiencing abuse.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
It's something that they can use to document that abuse in a safe way.
Yeah. So I guess, if we think about it if you're the person going through abuse. I'm going to use a real life example from Australia, which I forget the name of the victim. She passed away, but she, in Australia, went to the police several times and reported her husband's physical abuse on her. And the police brushed her aside and said she's just a serial complainer, that she's just, we all get tagged with, oh yeah, she's making it up. And in the end, he killed her. Imagine if she had access to a safe recording, a journal. Just think of it as a safe journal that's encrypted, that you need a login that is not your email address. It's not a favorite password. It's an encrypted login. What if you had that? What if she had that? And she could say, hey, I called the police and they didn't do anything. I've left, but he's got me to go home. I can't use my bank account because of this. But he's taking my phone off me. Imagine if she had had that and she reached out to the police on the 4th time and they said, no, you're making it up. She can print those notes off and go, I'm not making it up. Or in real time, she's getting an analysis on what's happened that goes past a hit and into the coercive control elements and provides access to local resources that she could reach out to, as well as us. We'll be in there as well as a contact, and as we get more established, we'll be able to be almost an umbrella to help you through the process. So I always think of her, and I can't remember her name, but because I'm bad with names, but I always think of that woman and I think, how could she have been accused of making it up? And unfortunately, that's a common theme.
It's one of the most, actually, unfortunately, and also that kind of the back and forth thing with multiple events. Police tend to the cycles of domestic violence are quite a new concept relative to justice, so they're not something that the justice system fully understands, even though it's researched and even though it is proven and it is an established cycle that happens for people experiencing domestic violence. The justice system, or just lacking of education, because the police are the least educated in the justice system,
which is unfortunate because they're our first line of response.
They have the most, they arguably have one of the most powers, and they have the ability to arrest and detain people.
Well,
but they don't have the ability to.
I always bring it back to me because I'm a Leo and I have an ego, but they knew about my assault, even though I didn't know they knew, and they decided there was insufficient evidence. They had the power right there to prevent anybody else being abused by this person, and they didn't.
Yes.
And that's a failure that I can't sue for, even though it's a complete breach. They couldn't get sufficient evidence. However, I want everyone to listen to me here. The detective on my case reassured me. He said, insufficient evidence does not mean it didn't happen. They knew it was happening. They couldn't prove it enough to make an arrest.
That's right.
But they never asked me a single question. So I'm like, yeah, okay, but you didn't ask me, and I might have declined. But hey, if you got a social worker in, who knows? I might have talked. But you didn't.
You have the added issue of police being majority men, police being a part of the patriarchy, colonial systems. You have all of these. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, men should not be dealing with these kind of cases, or ones that are not educated in this area, because it's like, how are you to say that a female victim or what she has experienced is or is not enough, from those experiences. It's an interesting process, but they are trying slowly, and that's the problem with these things. They are slow to move, and as much as we can do in the community to kind of create other pathways and other safe places is the best thing in the meantime.
And I would love there to be down the line a partnership with the police around Project Hydra to be able to get response times in your event, or Women's Refuge. This doesn't go straight to the police. There are future plans and developments to create a real safety resource for the victim. We think of women when we think of domestic violence, but there's children, and it's not gender specific. It's intersectional. It's just that the vast majority are female by men. So we want to be able to provide a resource that anyone can access. It's just a complicated conversation, but someone has to start it. So Project Hydra is just the first conversation of many that we'll be having through Maia Ātaahua around it does prevent further violence. So it is prevention, it is assist.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's really, really, really exciting. I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Our other apps we have coming up, we have we're in development. We have a recovery resource that we're working on, and that might take me a little bit more time to work on. But Maya, I've asked you to be part of that as well,
Yes.
around healing and recovery, and Maya has come up with an amazing idea for a prevention app as well, about physical safety in real time. So
Yes.
I think we're in a really good spot moving forward, and having at least 3 very accessible resources for the everyday person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can maybe work with the police on what resources they need and what work. We don't have to change the system, but we can find ways to assist within the current framework, and over time frameworks will change.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where
And once you get established and you get some people using it and actually utilizing it and seeing how good it is, that's when you can start opening those doors. You know, and once people can recognize the value of it, it will be picked up, no problem. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Are we?
Yeah, I mean, hey, I mean, I feel like this was a great first episode
Yeah.
for our With Maya Ātaahua podcast.
Yes.
Maya, you're about to go away on a holiday. You want to tell us where you're going?
Yes, I'm going to Europe next Sunday. Next Sunday, yes, 1 week from now. And I'll be away for a whole month. So I'm going Amsterdam and Paris and Nantes and Rome and Florence. So it's going to be amazing.
Oh, amazing.
Yes.
So when this launches, you'll already be away.
I will already be away, and then I will have to share it all and do all the promos from overseas. And then I get back and I start my thesis next semester.
Well, what's your thesis on?
I haven't firmed it like entirely yet, so I have to wait because I've got a couple of projects and a couple of options within the project. So yeah, you kind of it's a little bit difficult for me to pick exactly which one I want to do the most because I'm interested in a lot of different things. But I think I'll have lots of time to think about it while I'm on holiday.
Yeah, you will, and you'll come back refreshed, and you'll come back revitalized, and you would have seen an amazing architecture and be like, yeah, man, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. I'll be inspired about how to change the world. Yeah.
Well, I feel like this app is my PhD. I don't have this tick next to my name, but we're doing it anyway.
Yeah. Creating practical things. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah. Well,
Yay.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Where can people find you on Instagram?
Yeah, so I have my personal Instagram, Maya Kali, I think. It's just Maya. And due to these projects, I've also started another one called Survive and Conquer, which is where I'll post my political views and things regarding these kind of projects, just to create that sort of separation from my personal life. So yeah, at the tabs in the bottom.
Awesome. Okay, well, that was an amazing first episode, and when you get back, we'll catch up again with everybody and see where you went, what you want to share with us, and we're going to really enjoy this season. We're going to be breaking down concepts like perfect victim or what brings you joy, and presenting it in a way that it doesn't have to be so difficult, you know? So I'm really excited for this little mini series. So season 1, not planning another one. It's just a mini series unless everyone likes it. And we can have a lot more fun next year.
Amazing. Lovely. Oh, great to talk to you today. You take care. Ka kite koutou. Everyone be good, be safe, be kind.
Yes. Love you. Thank you.
Thank you for listening, guys. I hope you had a good time. I know some of these episodes might be distressing as we covered some gnarly things, so please reach out. We're all in this together and we all deserve the right to sparkle, we all deserve dignity, and we all deserve joy. If you're unsure who to speak to, come find us over on Instagram and we'll help connect you with the local service. Okay, love you, bye!